In the previous lesson, I showed you how you can use font icons to show glyphs or images inside your form fields. We're going to have an envelope here for the email, and we're going to have a lock here for the password. And on the register form, we're going to do similar things. But the way we're doing it now is not very easy. So we want to improve on this by installing a plugin specifically to handle this for us and make it easier. There's a few steps in the process here that we need to follow to get this plugin to work. We've already done a few of these steps. We've added the Font Awesome Web Font TrueType font file, and we've added the Font Awesome CSS file in our assets CSS folder, and we've also added the FA class in our root app.css file. In order to use the plugin, we're also going to need to import and initialize the font icon module in our root app module. We're also going to import it in our auth module because that's where we're using it. We're going to inject the font icon service in our root app component just so we can initialize it. And finally, this plugin will allow us to use an Angular pipe with the name of the icon instead of a Unicode character. And that's where the true value of this plugin lies. I just wanted to show you all the steps involved because it's easy to miss one of them. And this way you'll have a checklist to come back to and reference if you need. Let's start by installing the font icon plugin. Open up your terminal. I'm going to do it right here within Visual Studio Code. And enter the command to install a plugin. TNS plugin add, and the name of the plugin, which is NativeScript-ngx-font icon. This will install an npm package and save a reference to your package.json file. The next step in our checklist is to import and initialize the plugin in our root app module. And right here, underneath the translate module, I'm going to import the TNS font icon module. It's coming from that npm package that the plugin installed. Now this TNS font icon module needs to be initialized with some information. So down here in the imports, we're going to add TNS font icon module. We'll call the for root function and pass in a mapping. We'll pass in the FA class and the location of the CSS file. In the previous lesson, we've already installed the CSS file right here in the assets folder, in the CSS folder. If you remember, we've selected the non-minified version of this file because we need to edit it. There's extra things here we don't need. All we really need this file for is the mapping between the names and the Unicodes. Let's find the line where the Unicode names begin, and in my file that's line 181, and delete everything that's before this line. We don't need any of those rules. The plugin also comes with a service that needs to be injected in order to be triggered. A good place to trigger these kinds of services is in the root app component because its constructor gets triggered only once per application. This is where we put our translation service, and this is where we'll put our TNS font icon service as well. I'll import the TNS font icon service, and down in the constructor, I'll inject it. I also want to get in the habit of using an underscore to indicate that we're not going to be using a certain parameter. This will make it easier to clean up and do some linting later on. Now there's still more work to do. Let's move our work to the auth module because that's where we're consuming the font icons right now. And in our login form, we already have a font icon in use, and that's this Unicode character on the label. The font icon plugin we installed is going to allow us to use the name of the icon instead of this Unicode character. So we're going to data bind the text property, and we're going to use the name of the icon, which is FA-envelope. You can find all the font icon names on the Font Awesome website. You can browse the icons. For example, here's the envelope we're using, and there's the name of it. In order for the icon to show up in this label, just using the name of the icon, we're going to use the Angular pipe that comes with the plugin. Underneath the covers, this pipe will just translate the name to the Unicode. If we just run it like this, we'll get an error, and that's because there's one more step that's involved. In every feature module where you're going to be using the font icon pipe, you're going to need to import the font icon module. So let's go to the auth module and import the font icon module right at the top, and also add it to our imports array. And once that's done, you'll see that we have our envelope. All right. Let's follow the same process and add a lock icon where the password field is. This time we'll start with the Font Awesome website and search for the lock icon. This one looks good, and its name is FA-lock. So in the login form, I'm just going to copy the label that we've already had and paste it down below the text field for the password. Now all I got to do is just change the icon name to FA-lock. And there's our lock icon. And we can do a similar thing on our register form. For the full name field, I'm going to use an icon called FA-user. The email field will still keep the envelope icon. And in the password field, I'll go ahead and use that lock again. Let's take a look. And there are the register icons.